Hi, and welcome back to Philosophy with Phil, with me, Phil Cohen. This week's Parsha Ves Chanun, we're going to talk about prayer. And as we've said up until now, there are two sort of dynamics that I'd like to pursue. There's the emotional side of prayer, and there's the intellectual side, the more structured side, the more rational side. As I've mentioned, there's 10 different words used for prayer in the Torah, in the Tanakh. We're going to only use 2 or 3 of those, but I showed you the book in the last video, and you can have a look at. You're welcome to have a look at others. But we see prayer as a way of blending or channeling our emotions and our intellect. Very much like learning Torah, which is kind of the opposite way round. It's using our emotions to fire our intellect when we learn, versus using our intellect to sort of temper down and to channel our emotions. We see that prayer, for example, is the way it's been put to me, was prayer is our way of talking to God, whereas learning Torah, and by extension following its mitzvahs, following its commandments, is God's way of talking to us. So in terms of the 2 types of prayer, let's start with the emotional, spontaneous types of prayer. Hebrew words include Chanun, which we have in this week's Sedra, where Moses is pleading with God, begging, repeating, almost nagging God to be allowed to go into the land of Israel. We also have the word tzchok, which in some translations actually means to laugh or to outburst. But it also means to cry. It's like a baby that can't speak but just wants to has hurt itself or wants more food or is hungry or whatever it is in pain. We see that in the Haggadah when the children of Israel were crying out to God, and God listened to our prayers and saved us. But as well as the emotional pleading and outcries that we have in our prayer, we also have the structured prayer, what we call tefillah. And I'll be talking about tefillah in the next video. But just to give you an idea of the importance of tzchok, of crying, or just responsive or sort of emotional types of prayer. Ramban Nachmanides actually says that there is a Torah obligation to pray, and that in itself, forget the structured prayers which we do 3 times a day in the Amidah, those responsive prayers to our immediate needs are the Torah obligation to pray. So that if we're facing a challenging business meeting, or we've got a difficult situation in life, crying out to God and asking for His help in the situation is very much a Torah obligation and very much incumbent upon us. I remember going to a lecture by a renowned Kabbalist, Torah scholar, whichever you want to call it. His name is Rabbi Yaakov Hillel. And someone asked him, how does one come close to God? How does one achieve a higher connection? And he said simple. He said, every time you get out of the car, thank God. Thank God for a safe journey. Thank God that He got you there on time, or He found you that parking space, as the joke goes. Just incorporate a thanks to God at particular junctures. Perhaps when you open the door for your house, when you walk into your house. Perhaps before you go to bed at night. Thank God for the day. It doesn't have to be at regular times, but at specific trigger events. As I say, challenging meetings perhaps you've got ahead, or even just after a train journey. God knows train journeys can be perilous enough. Just use it as an opportunity to just look up and say, thank God for getting me through that. I wish you Shabbat Shalom. I'm sorry it was a short video, but next video we'll talk more about structured prayer and the structure of prayer and what we're hoping to achieve through that.